Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. So sometimes I like to browse through my old art folder on my PC, and the other day I came across a piece that in this September turns 7 years old. It's this piece, and to the best of my knowledge, this is the first 100% digital art piece that I made. Anyway, I decided that now is the perfect timing for a new Draw This Again challenge. And today's video is made possible thanks to Skillshare, who is sponsoring this video. I'm giving you guys more free premium access to Skillshare's platform. Just use the link in the description below. And in case you've been around and still wonder what Skillshare is, here's the drill. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes on art, design, business, and much more. Their premium membership gives you unlimited access to all of their classes, and whether you're looking to learn something completely new or just want to brush up some old knowledge, Skillshare definitely has a class for you. When you browse through the classes on Skillshare, you can use the categories set here to the left, or browse for workshops, and even Lord Gris has a class there now that you can go watch. I recently saved a class on digital landscapes, which is a subject that I've been meaning to dig into for a while now, and I am finally doing it. And Skillshare has an app that you can download on your smartphone as well, so all of you little busy bees out there can watch it on the go. And right now I offer 2 months free premium access to you guys. You just have to follow the link in the description below, or type the one in I put on the screen, it's up to you. And if you decide to stay after the trial, their annual membership is less than $10 a month. And before I dig too deep into today's subject, I just want to say that I have never received any formal art education. I'm 100% self-taught, and I've used work-in-progress pictures, references, time-lapses and tutorials on YouTube and online platforms such as Skillshare to get to where I am today, just in case you wondered. So I thought now was a good opportunity to talk about some of the important things that I learned about digital art and drawing in general in the past 7 years, while I reinterpret and repaint this drawing from back in 2012. Back when I made this, I was primarily a traditional pencil artist. I almost never colored anything and always just drew with my pencil and basically nothing more. I thought digital art was really hard, and honestly I was a bit afraid to dig in because I thought it was kind of scary. Which leads me to the first important takeaway from this 7-year journey. Expect to feel a setback when learning new mediums. And yeah, I refer to digital art as a medium, like acrylics can be a medium, oils can be a medium, and watercolors can be another medium. I think of digital art as a medium as well. I wasn't an amazing artist back in 2012, but I definitely felt like I got a lot worse when I started going digital. I felt a major setback in my skills and I didn't like it. I didn't really know the tools, how to use the software the best way, or basic stuff like blending, brush settings, or how to even build up a digital piece. There is not necessarily a correct way to do these things, but I had no experience with it at all, so it felt like starting all over again completely. The only thing that I could take with me onto my digital journey was the fact that I could draw. And now I just needed to figure out how to translate my art from the paper onto my computer. And that leads me to another takeaway. Get the equipment that feels right for you personally. A thing that I discovered about myself after a while trying digital art was that I felt a disconnect from my art when my hand was working on the bamboo tablet on my table, but my eyes were fixating on the screen. 1 year after I drew this painting in 2012, I invested in a vacuum Cintiq, and even though my digital journey didn't really take off until 2 years after receiving the Cintiq, I still felt a lot more connected to my art, and it made it easier for me to practice. For me personally, I simply need to look where my hand is working. Otherwise, it doesn't really work for me at all anymore. And I never would have figured this out if I hadn't had a bamboo tablet for the first many years. Before, I would just scan in my pencil drawings and then color them using my bamboo tablet, and that wasn't a problem. It was more when I had to build up entire 100% digital pieces from scratch that I started feeling this disconnect. I couldn't afford a display tablet before, I'm not even sure I knew they existed, and I definitely didn't need them back when I started out. It wasn't until I had drawn for 10 years or so that I upgraded to a display tablet. You don't get better at drawing for having the most expensive equipment or programs, but I'll talk more about this in the next finding that I made, which was that digital art isn't easier. A lot of people, and myself included at some point actually, thinks that digital art is an easier medium to use. And I personally very strongly disagree. When you're used to work in a certain way with a specific medium, those are easier for you to use. The reason I think digital art is the easiest for me today, it's simply because it's the medium I'm most experienced in now. Back in 2012, I promise you, pencil drawings, that's what I thought was easiest. And digital art at that point was probably the hardest. I know there will be someone out there thinking that using the paint bucket tool to fill in some colors is easier than spending hours painting it with watercolors or acrylics or whatever. And I agree that digital art offers a lot of tools that are faster than the traditional process. But if you don't know how to use the tools correctly, you might end up spending more time on them and figuring them out than just painting it in manually either way. I'll try to explain it this way. If you don't know the first thing about controlling water when using watercolors, it will probably take you longer than if you're just stuck to the color pencils that you know how to handle. Even if someone said that watercolors are faster and a lot of people agrees, that might not be the case for you, at least not right now, because you don't know how to handle them. And it's the same with the tools you have for digital art. And it also kind of counts for the equipment as well, this whole thing. I have so many people writing me that they would be so much better at drawing if they could just afford a display tablet or the iMac that they want. And drawing has nothing to do with the costs of your equipment. It's still your hand and your mind working to create art, not the high-end tablet or expensive program. Those aren't going to do anything for you. It's just a medium that you have to get used to. Your hand and mind are doing the work. And I know I just told you that I couldn't work with a regular tablet in the long run and that I needed to get a screen tablet. When I got to this point in my life, I had already figured out what I personally needed to get further, but I also know that I didn't need this kind of equipment 5 years earlier because I was in a completely different place with my art at the time. Okay, so the next important takeaway is there are thousands of ways to build and structure a digital drawing, and none of them are correct and none of them are wrong. If you watch time lapses like me or study other artists behind the scenes art, you probably realize that artists work in a lot of different ways, like mind-blowing many different ways. In the old drawing I did here back in 2012, for instance, I started with the background, then placed a naked character, shaded her, then clothed her, and then shaded her clothes. And lastly, I put on some glow effects and color adjustments. In the repaint I'm doing here in the background, I focus more on getting the colors right first. So I paint basically all my flats before moving on to shading and then rendering everything at once by the end. And I add effects on the go, and I also do some touch-ups or final effects and color adjustments by the end like before, but the overall structure of building up pictures changed a lot. An artist that has a very interesting workflow, I think, is Sakimi-chan, who has these very incredibly messy sketches that she first paints using an airbrush before starting to shade and render small portions of the drawing at a time, all while keeping the parts of the characters separated onto different layers. Whereas I like to have my layer structure divided into paint sections, so for instance I have flats, shading and then rendering, instead of body parts, like Sakimi does. So there are really thousands of ways that you can build up your drawing, and you shouldn't just stick to one. Try out many techniques you see, and at some point you'll probably find out that you have merged all of them into your very own unique way of building up a picture. So never stop experimenting when you see something that appeals to you and that you would like to try to incorporate into your work as well. And another thing I learned is that basically everyone uses references. I used to think, and this is really stupid, but I used to think that the better you were at drawing, the less references you needed. Okay? I simply thought that references was something only less experienced artists use, and that it portrayed some kind of weakness in an artist's skill set. Today I think it's the opposite. Great artists know how and what to reference in their drawings, and it's a beginner's mistake to think that we don't need references or that it makes us less professional because we need quote-unquote help. I've worked professionally with my art for some time now, and no one out there in the industry expects you to work without references. So use the references and use them hard. Another takeaway from my 7-year journey is using soft and crisp together. I know this one is pretty specific, but it's something that I picked up along the way and it just stuck with me, so I wanted to explain. Those of you who have been here for a while might remember that I really love contrast, especially in color. But I also learned in the past few years that contrast doesn't only have to be color, as I so ignorantly thought. Contrast can also be edges. I started to use a mix of softly blended areas with sharp edges, and I really think that it brought a different kind of attention to my work. Edges could be your line art, but an edge can also be an area where light and dark meets and naturally forms a gap between them, creating an edge. My tip is that you use hard brushes as well as soft brushes, or heavy textures along with softly blended areas. I just personally think that it adds a little more interest to the drawing, rather than the texture of the drawing or the painted look is just similar all over the painting. And the very last takeaway is, don't give up and study hard. I gotta admit that there was a point between 2012 and 15 when I almost gave up on digital art. I didn't take the time to practice daily, sometimes not even weekly, so it took me a little longer to get to where I am today, but once I started drawing regularly again back in 2016, I started seeing progress really fast. It wasn't the prettiest, but I kept at it, and since the piece in 2012, this is how far I've gotten today. I still have much to learn, and I'm super excited about it too. I love to learn new things, and I use that for motivation to get better every day if I can. If you're passionate about drawing, you will get there. Because we love what we do, right? And we need to use that to push and drive ourselves forward. And I know I could have covered a lot more experience in this video, so now I have some things that I can talk about on my new Draw With Me series that I launched last week. It's the series of longer videos where I just draw a lot of different things that I'm currently working on while talking about topics that interest me or can help you guys, and play some nice music. So if you didn't check that out already, head over there now and like and comment this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more art in the future. And remember to hit the little ding dong if you want to be notified of my uploads. And also remember to claim those 3 months of Skillshare Premium using the link in the description below. Until next time guys, take care. Bye!